Hello, my friends. Welcome to the very first episode of whatever this is. This is not a podcast. Well, I don't know. Maybe it is a podcast. Let's say this is the first unofficial episode to my podcast. I don't know. I'm just having a yap sesh. I lost my tripod. That is such a random thing to misplace. It's such a random thing to lose, but I lost my tripod. I can't find it. It's been disappeared from my site for at least 2 to 3 weeks, and I've been looking everywhere and I just can't find it. But it's probably, I bet you it's somewhere hidden in plain sight, and I'm just not I'm the type of person who I will lose something in plain sight and I will take a very long time to find it before painfully realizing that it was in front of my face the whole time. And I don't know what that is. I don't know why that happens to me. But when spaces, I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent. Anyway, so I wanted to document a bit about my streamer journey, my content creation journey, and talk about it in a more I guess in more of a bare bones way, and be kind of go into the raw and the gritty side of this whole, I guess, venture. I am not new to content creation, believe it or not. I'm not actually new to content creation, but I guess I've tried and stopped many times. And so I would say that I over the years have learned a lot. I've learned a lot, but at the same time I've not learned that much, because things change in the online environment so much, from day to day, week to week, month to month. So in the last video I made, I spoke about parasocial dynamics, relationships, whatever, finding you and kind of latching onto you when you become an online creator, and how as a small creator it can be a very confusing dynamic that can catch you off guard because you don't expect that, especially as a small creator. But I was speaking about the boundaries and how to set boundaries and make sure that you know how to recognize these things early on, because they can be very harmful to your personal safety, your career, and also even potentially the personal safety of those who are interacting with you and your audience, if you don't know how to set that boundary with them. Because you're the platformed one, it's up to you to set that boundary and to make sure these dynamics are kind of under control. And yeah, that was a bit of a mouthful, but that's essentially what I was speaking about last time. Today, I want to talk about something that literally okay, let's start from the beginning. Let's start from the top. Okay. I can make this video go on as many tangents as I want. I'm not going to over apologize for it. Yeah. So basically, the first time I ever streamed was a few years ago, but I just wanted to do art streams, and then I did a couple or something like that, and then I stopped. I never did it again, and the main reason was because I was really tired on stream and I couldn't focus, and I was just really out of it whenever I tried to stream. I literally looked like I was about to pass out, and it was really bad. Anyway, that was a nutrient deficiency, which is is anybody surprised? I'm not surprised. The crowd is not shocked. Anyway, so I started streaming this year. I want to say May was when I first dabbled in it, and a little bit of IRL-ish, but I was crafting, and then I did a couple of IRL streams that just felt so good, and I really enjoyed it. And I would stream on TikTok, and I remember there was this one stream that just felt, I hate to sound so hippy dippy, it felt so high vibrational. It was in the sun was shining, the cats were running outside with me, I was in the garden, I was in the jardin. Please don't come for me. Don't come for me with my pronunciation. Do not come for me for my pronunciation. I tried, okay? So I was in the garden and the sun was shining, and I was just it felt so good, and I was vibing really high. I didn't start doing any gaming streams until I want to say June. Around June. That's when I started really going for gaming streams, and I've been enjoying doing those. I really have. And then I started my PC building up and upgrading journey, like when we just got to November, so like I want to say September, around sometime in the middle or towards the end of September. That's when I started that journey. And that has also been a whole thing. Like, listen, we can talk about that another time. I can get into the PC stuff another time. But yeah, like, so recently I had this thing happen to me, right? Where I got approached. This was on I think this was on TikTok. I got this DM from this account saying that they run an agency that has like a really good reputation, and I looked at their account and it was like they were like a streamer that has like a couple 100,000 followers, so like a pretty sizable TikTok account with quite decent engagement on their videos as well, because I was looking at everything. I was looking at their agency page, and they're sending me this DM like, oh, we would love to work for you, you look like a perfect fit. I'm thinking like, I am literally I'm not even at 500 yet, and you're out here talking about I look like the perfect fit to like work with an agency. For anybody who doesn't know what talent agencies are in entertainment and entertainment adjacent industries, so like if you were a YouTuber and you were represented by an agency, you are in an agreement, a contracted agreement with that agency to produce content and to also be promoted by that agency. And there's this whole thing, right? I'm not an expert, but it's a legally binding thing. The agency benefits from having your brand under their label and representing your brand. They benefit from that, and you benefit from what they have for you in terms of like being able to get you sponsorships, being able to promote your content, create ads for you, all that kind of, like, it's kind of like being in a like an entertainment contract. So like if you were a musician, that would be your label and your management and etc. It's that kind of thing. I'm thinking to myself, I am such a small fry right now. How can an agency, especially one with such a big reputation, be reaching out to me in a DM saying that I would be a perfect fit for them? That was so sketch, first off. Then I see like videos on their official page of them at the TikTok HQ, and like just all this, like, I guess it's very much like everything looked kind of legit, but not legit enough to somebody who has a trained eye and who knows how to take their time with this kind of stuff. I'm thinking to myself, something is not right, something is amiss. Like, so I wanted to talk about this in this video because I think it's important for other small creators to understand that, you know, don't get scammed out here. Don't be dazzled. And you know what, the thing I find really interesting is that, like, I'm not saying that an account reaching out to you is a red flag even in of itself, because depending on what type of content you do, depending on the size of your channel or your account, it's probably not a red flag. But especially if you're a very small creator who's just getting started and you're getting approached in a DM, that is a massive red flag, because that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense from a business standpoint, and it doesn't make any sense, like, it just doesn't make any sense, full stop. Like, why would you be doing that? Like, why would you be preying on small creators, right? So I decided, okay, like, let me take my time, let me see what they're about, let me see if I can DM some mutuals, get some info from them, because surely if this person or if this brand is approaching small accounts, they've approached some of my mutuals as well. My mutes or mutuals, if anybody doesn't know what that's referring to, I'm talking about people who are sort of in my community, like my peers, like people around the same size especially. So like other creators who we follow each other, we interact with each other's content, we both like, we're like all my small streamer friends and stuff. That's what I'm referring to. So I'm like, let me contact some people, let me ask some questions and see if anyone else has been contacted, because I'm like, from the get-go, I'm feeling a bit weird. And then next thing you know, I get these DMs like, oh, I've sent you an invite to come and work with us. And I'm thinking, oh, an invite? And it's basically, it comes through the app. It's through this thing called the, I forgot what it's called. It's like a TikTok creator program thing. I don't know. Basically, you as an agency, let's say you want to start your own agency business, you can create an official like enrollment platform thing through TikTok, right? And then there's this agreement. I don't know if it's a formal contract. There are terms to it, so I'll say it's like a contract, but it's not the same as a talent. It's not the same as a talent contract. It's not the same as an official contract that you would have to go through with an actual agency. That takes time to go through all the clauses. There's agreements that have to be made. It has to be a sit down meeting before you sign the paper and make everything official. This is just an invite to the program that exists on the platform of TikTok, if that makes sense. So I'm looking at the terms of this and I'm going through it and I'm just like, this doesn't cover things that you would have to cover in order to sign an agreement with the talent. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, I'm looking through these terms and it's saying, oh, you must go through an official, like, just paraphrasing here, you must go through an official agreement with the agency themselves. TikTok doesn't represent the agency. They don't mediate for you. Then basically TikTok saying we're not involved. We are not the agency. They are a separate thing. You got to make a separate agreement with them and make sure that you know what you're signing up to. And they're making it clear in these terms. And I'm thinking, this is not a contract. This is just like join the thing on the on the actual TikTok platform, but it's not an official contract. And so it makes things vague. Let's say I did join them and I did blow up and I started generating a lot of like revenue. Like, how, like, there's no terms that have been set with that. What if you know, I know they put in their sort of like the TikTok terms of the invite that they're allowed access to my metrics and my data, and then they're also allowed to promote my content and use it for ads without my consent. Like, they don't need my permission beforehand, which a person who who has never really understood how these things work before would be like, oh, well, that makes sense, because I, as the creator, I don't really know anything about that. It's like they're the experts on that side, so I'll let them handle that. But you have to understand, when it comes to you having your own brand, having your own autonomy as a creator, this is not in your best interest, especially once you start to grow, once you start to have like a vision for yourself and the direction you want to go with. It's like you're basically giving up your brand. I mean, like, you know, especially with the terms are quite vague, and there are things like, you know, like, what about the revenue split? What about, you know, what about exiting the contract? Like, how long can you keep my data for? Will you delete all of my data upon me exiting the contract? None of that kind of stuff is covered. So I'm like, okay. And then I sit on it and I wait for a bit, and then I get a DM like the next day, like, hey, is everything okay? The invite's gonna expire soon. I don't want you missing out. I'm thinking to myself, missing out on what? Like, really and truly missing out on what? Like, I honestly, first of all, like, in the grand scheme of things and in this industry, I haven't even touched the baseline, the surface yet. So, like, what are we talking about? Second of all, there's really nothing in your in this agreement, this contract, this invite for me to go off of to understand what I'm really signing up for. So I don't really like missing out on what, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking like them approaching me in a DM, the urgency tactics, the vague agreement terms, and then like they're putting some stuff in there but they're not putting everything in there. So I'm thinking I'm not protected legally. I'd like, you know what I mean? So I replied to the message. I'm like, hey, I'm going over this with a trusted advisor, and we'd have to go through a separate contract and have that signed and agreed to before I sign up to anything. And I'm just thinking their response to this is going to tell me everything that I need to know, and I'm going to know for sure if they're like fully like sketch or not, because that's weird, you know what I mean? That's really weird. I just checked on my phone. I just double checked because I took some screenshots. It says that it's called a creator network, and like I guess any sort of self-proclaimed like business, or I guess I don't know if you have to be registered to make a quote unquote agency on the TikTok through a TikTok official platform as part of the creator network. I would assume that you'd have to be registered, but like I haven't at this moment. I cannot confirm because I haven't checked that. But yeah, like for example, it says here, once the creator network receives your information, it may determine its own means and purposes of processing your information. Please consult with the creator network for further information on how it uses and processes your information. So like these are all things that need to be covered between you and this so-called like agency who runs this specific it's called a the creator network. It's called a creator network on TikTok. So like that's the individual. Sorry if I'm confusing anybody here. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm articulating it properly and that I'm like using the right terms in the right context. But yes, like this agency is a creator network that is made on the creator network platform through or on TikTok officially. I did go through this with my bestie as well, my best friend. Shout out to my best friend, I love you so much. And she was like, this is hella sus. I was like, I agree, this is very sus, for several reasons that I didn't mention. There was like a little bit of love bombing in there as well. And when I say love bombing, like, okay, that's a strong term, I guess that's not the right term, but there's like a little bit of like, you know, oh my gosh, we love your content, you would be amazing, you would be an amazing fit for us. Sometimes they'll follow you, they'll come into your lives. If they see your live, they might leave a heart me or a gift or something like that, you know, interact with you a little bit just to sort of like hook you and make you feel, I guess this is a way to make you feel special. And like it's a tactic that is as old as time itself. Like if you know anything about business, about sales in any capacity, you know that like complimenting, like these certain things, they get people's guards down so that they're more receptive to whatever you're about to do next, or whatever you're about to say next. So yeah, there was like a little bit of that as well, and I peeped that. But one thing that my bestie pointed out, because I hadn't looked that much deeper into the company yet, but she mentioned that they had been going for over 10 years, and I'm looking at like their page, the official page for the actual agency, and I'm like, there's not really too much to show for it, and you've been going for about a decade. And maybe I think there's like a couple of creators who have grown, I guess, a decent amount, but like to be that sort of like, I guess, to have a business or an agency that's been going on for that long and not having that much to show for it after a decade is also a massive red flag. Everything kind of looks it's like at first glance, everything looks good and legit. But then when you look deeper, there are a bunch of things that don't make sense. So I was just like, okay, yeah, I hit him with the I'm going over this with the trusted advisor. Then the next DM that I got, I think they said something like, we can't sign anything from your end, and the whatever's in the invite, this is also kind of like paraphrasing, whatever is in the invite is the official contract, and like you can sign it here and now, well, not sign it, but you can accept now, or like but that's it, we can't sign anything on your end, everything is always going to be on your side. And like just saying these things that were clearly like for you to believe what they're saying, you would have had to not read through anything. So at this point, I'm feeling a little bit sad, because it's like, when you're approached by certain people, or certain, like, you attract certain things to you, and you think to yourself, what is it about me that makes these people, these things want to come to me? Surely there's something that I have to change about myself, so that they do not find me, I guess, attractive, in terms of like imagine an agency like that coming to you and saying you look like the perfect fit. What does that mean? Like, do I look gullible? Do I look like someone, like, does my page, like, do I look like someone who is clueless, who is gullible, who is very naive? And this is no shade to anyone who has signed up to the program, because I'm sure people have benefited from it in some way, shape or another. Like, I saw a couple of testimonials, it seems like some people did benefit from it, but personally, I couldn't put myself in a situation where I potentially could lose my autonomy, especially over my brand and stuff, especially with all these vague terms. And like, it's just like, okay, so what, like, there's a reason why you've approached me. Like, what exactly is it that you're trying to get from me that I may not be 100% aware of? And that's where my spidey senses were going off. I'm just like, this is weird. Not only that, but I looked at the terms for like leaving and with the agreement, and how long this sort of relationship between you and this agency goes on for, this professional kind of like relationship goes on between you and this agency. So it says how to leave a creator network. The creator network can remove you from the creator network at any time. You can quit at any time. It will take about 30 days to process your request. 30 days. A whole month. Not only that, but this invitation period, this management relationship period, sorry, that's what it officially says on the statement thing, management relationship period, the start date from, let's say they sent me this invitation in October, so it'd be from October 2025 until October 2028. That's quite significant. That's a significant amount of time, especially for a small creator, especially like for there to be no real like contract, and them saying that they can't do a contract thing, or the like, oh, we can't sign anything from your end. So you're not willing to sit down, have a meeting, negotiate if you're serious about this. If you're serious about this kind of relationship, which means that either this is not a serious venture, which, like, for them, which is kind of like a big red flag, because like, hello, this is something that's important to me, like, I'm taking it seriously, and if you're not going to take me seriously, and that, like, it puts me at a disadvantage, especially if I've signed up to something, yeah, and like this thing, like a period, like 3 years, 3 whole years, and it takes, like, if you want to quit, it takes a whole month. After the first 15 days, it will take about 30 days to process your request. For up to 60 days after you quit, no creator network will be able to invite you. So it's like, not only that, but once you leave, after you quit, it's like you can't join any other network for another 2 months. Not that I'm keen to join any other network, but these things are just important to know. And this is just the terms on the platform. Yeah. And then there's no, like, you have to go through terms, like, when it comes to these things, it's very serious, because like there can be like issues with like revenue split, how data is handled, how they're going to handle it during that period. All that stuff you have to go over in a proper written agreement contract that takes time to draft, that takes negotiation, it takes sometimes multiple meetings. I'm not saying that I'm a big talent that's like, you know, that like you should be sitting down for multiple meetings with me. Not necessarily. Like, it can all be done remotely, but like, I'm just saying, like, you know, it's sus. It makes me feel like this is kind of like covering up something else, and it just makes me feel suspicious. No tea, no shade. And I want other small creators who watch this, who see this, to know that just because, like, don't get dazzled by like seemingly these big accounts. And that's another thing. The actual agency account was very small with like not too much going on, and I find that really sus. Like, you've been doing this for like what, 10 plus years? It's kind of sus. Like, everything kind of like, your image kind of crumbles down very quickly before my eyes the more I like try and piece everything together. So yeah, there's that. Small creators, don't get dazzled by seemingly bigger accounts reaching out to you, following you, trying to make you feel special. Don't be gullible. Don't fall for the okie doke. It's, you know, it's not worth throwing away your autonomy just for the perceived idea of like being given a rung up the ladder, or like someone being able to just help give you clout and stuff like that. Not only that, but it's this whole idea of, yeah, we're giving you all of this for free. It's like, no, nothing is ever free. An agency is a business. It is a business. What do you mean for free? There has like, and there's no contracts. Like, and they try to act like this agreement, this on platform agreement is the contract. It's the contract. No. Stay safe out there, guys, and don't get scammed. I was just like, okay, it's a no from me, dog. It's an absolute no from me. This got me thinking about, like, you know, it's better that I'm learning all of these things as a small creator than like if I had like a larger platform, or like I had more at stake. And I realized that like coming into this sort of like whole content creation and like being an online content creator and streamer and all that kind of stuff, I feel like it's just, I understand why it's so important to have eventually, when you get to a certain size, having a team and stuff is very helpful, and it's necessary, it's needed to protect you legally, to protect the brand, to make sure that like you're not handling too much on your own. And like learning these little things as a small creator and just like mentally preparing myself. Like, I started off with all the financial stuff, like learning about taxes, learning about how money works, learning about the economy, and I'm still learning about it like every single day. And I started learning about this like a few years ago because I felt like, oh, I'm, you know, at the time I was like, oh, I'm coming up to 25, or like I'm coming up to 30 in the next, you know, few years, so let me start learning about this stuff now. And I'm glad that I'm way more financially literate than I was then. And, you know, as time goes on, that will save me a lot of potential mistakes, issues, and whatever. But I went over some non-negotiables for any network or agency partnership, and I just wanted to share them with you guys, just so you guys can draw up your own notes, and then like later on you can learn how to write your own contracts. And you know, when maybe like for the some of you will become big creators at some point, and you will have like a legal team and stuff, you can go over this with them as well, and draw up like really effective contracts. So some of the non-negotiables that I have written up are separate written talent agreements, no exclusivity, I keep full control of my brand deals and channels, which is very important, opt-in per campaign only, no blanket permissions, meaning like, you know, when it comes to like ads being promoted and all that kind of stuff, and like I choose what I opt into and what I don't opt into, rather than like giving the full like permission over using all of my content and branding and whatever. pre-approval on all creatives, which means like things like thumbnails, like just anything creatively to do with like campaigns, ads, whatever it is. I basically get the final say. Transparent rev share in writing, so the stuff that I was talking about earlier with the like revenue split, no vague percentages, payout timing in explicit detail, like everything just written out and made clear. No account access or logins, don't touch my channels, emails, or ad accounts. This like, if depending on like the kind of partnership that you're going into and what you require and what you're after, like and with the help of the right legal team, you can entrust this kind of permission and access to a trusted agency or third party, but if you're doing any kind of like partnerships as like, even when I say small creator, I mean like less than 100,000, less than 200,000, someone who's kind of small and doing everything on their own still, like I wouldn't go there. That's not for beginners. That's not for people who are not very experienced at the legal side of this sort of thing. Clean termination on request, immediate stop to any campaigns and permissions upon ending agreement. So that also covers like, you know, any ads that they're running to make money, any what's it called, like just anything to do with your data and your content. Basically, when the agreement ends, their permission to use your face, your name, and your brand ends at that moment. Data limits and deletion, spell out what they can collect, how long they can keep it, and immediate data deletion upon exit. That's self-explanatory. That kind of like piggybacks off of the last point. No exclusivity on brands. I can work with any company within my niche without their approval or decide not to work with one. So sometimes when it comes to sponsorships and brand deals and stuff like that, the agency, depending on what permissions and access you give them, they may have complete control over that. Like, you know, they decide who you get to work with. They get to tell you who you can or can't work with, and all of that. Having control over that may not be important to you, but if I were you, I would retain control of that as well. Clear scope of services, spell out clearly what they will do and provide with a clear point of contact. This is another thing that I found was very vague with this so-called agency who approached me. I feel like they sort of had this thing like, we're going to offer you advice, we're going to help you to grow, but they didn't really spell out anything in explicit detail, and I feel like that's a very big red flag, especially if you're running a business and you want to do things professionally and you want to actually boost your credibility and grow your business. It's good to be clear about all of these things, and the fact that they weren't, it was just another red flag for me. No urgency tactics. I won't sign under pressure, and every promise must be in writing. And this is also like piggybacking off of something that I mentioned earlier, how like, you know, getting that sort of like message the next day like, hey, is everything okay, the invite expires soon, and it's like, I could always reapply if I wanted to at any time. This is not an official like contract. It's just an on-platform agreement between you and TikTok, or me and TikTok, essentially. Like, if you really think about it. What else? Baseline terms for collaboration to be amended per agreement in writing. So right, like you know, just to reiterate, it's like these things, like you can do a sit down meeting with your people and their people, draft up a really a thorough contract that covers everything that's needed to make sure that everybody is happy in the agreement and everyone's interests and any kind of like any kind of loopholes and pitfalls are gone over, and you know, make sure that everything is in order and everything everyone is protected legally. That's what all of that is for. And for this to be that for this kind of agreement to not have that kind of like measure in place, massive red flag. So yeah, that's it. That's the notes that I wrote down, and that will help me in the future when I'm writing up contracts for any like partnerships or deals that I may want to enter in the future. we'll see. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video to make other people aware, and thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye.